Have you ever wondered who Nero was, beyond the infamous stories of his tyranny and eccentricities? Let us journey back in time to unravel the enigma that is Nero, the Roman emperor, whose reign was marked by an intriguing blend of artistic pursuits, political machinations, and scandalous tales. Born on December 15th in the year 37, Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus was originally named Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. He was the only son of Agrippina the Younger, a woman of ambition and cunning, and Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus, a man of noble lineage but questionable character. The early years of Nero's life were far from ordinary. His father died when he was just 3 years old, and his mother was exiled by Emperor Caligula. Nero was left in the care of his aunt, Domitia Lepida. His childhood was marked by the absence of parental figures, a fact that undoubtedly shaped his future. When Emperor Claudius took the throne, Nero's life took an unexpected turn. His mother, Agrippina, returned from exile and married Claudius, thereby placing Nero in the heart of imperial politics. Agrippina, always the strategist, persuaded Claudius to adopt Nero, putting him ahead of his own son Britannicus in the line of succession. This move not only brought Nero closer to the throne, but also entangled him in the complex web of Roman political power. His education was entrusted to the philosopher Seneca and the Praetorian prefect Burrus, two individuals who would become significant influences in his life and reign. As a young boy, Nero was thrust into the world of Roman politics, a world rife with intrigue, power struggles, and the constant threat of treachery. The stage was set for Nero, a young boy thrust into the world of Roman politics, where power was the ultimate prize. As we delve deeper into the life of Nero, we will discover how he navigated this treacherous path to power, how he ruled, and the legacy he left behind. How did a teenager become the Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful entities of the ancient world? This question leads us to the ascension of Nero, a tale of power, manipulation, and a mother's ambition. In the year 54 Common Era, upon the death of his great-uncle and adoptive father, Emperor Claudius, Nero ascended to the throne. He was barely 16, the youngest Roman emperor yet. His age, however, didn't tell the full story. Behind the scenes, two influential figures played substantial roles in his rise to power. First, there was his mother, Agrippina the Younger. She was a woman of great ambition and cunning. After marrying Claudius, she persuaded him to adopt Nero and make him heir, superseding his own son Britannicus in the line of succession. Agrippina's machinations didn't stop there. Rumors suggest she may have even orchestrated Claudius's death, ensuring Nero's swift ascension to the throne. Then there was Seneca, a renowned philosopher and Nero's tutor. He was tasked with the intellectual and moral guidance of the young emperor. Seneca's influence over Nero was evident in the early years of his reign, which were marked by a sense of justice and clemency foreign to the Roman court. But let's not forget Nero himself. He was not merely a puppet in the hands of his mother and tutor. He demonstrated an ability to play the political game, navigating through the treacherous waters of the Roman court. His charisma, coupled with his affinity for music and the arts, made him popular among the masses, further solidifying his position. And so, at the tender age of 16, Nero found himself at the helm of the Roman Empire. His rise was rapid, facilitated by those around him, but also by his own unique qualities. Young and inexperienced, Nero was now the ruler of Rome, but how would he handle this immense responsibility? This question would shape the course of his reign and, ultimately, his legacy. The answer lies in the years that followed, years filled with grandeur, scandal, and a descent into tyranny. What happens when power lands in the hands of a young, impressionable, and increasingly unstable emperor? Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, better known as Nero, ascended to the throne at the tender age of 17, and his reign would prove to be a tumultuous one. His relationship with the Senate was fraught with tension from the get-go. He was known for his extravagant lifestyle, his grandiose building projects, and his passion for arts and sports. But Nero was also a tyrant, and his rule was marked by accusations of tyranny, extravagance, and debauchery. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE is perhaps one of the most infamous events of Nero's reign. The fire raged for 6 days and 7 nights, reducing much of the city to ashes. Rumors swirled that Nero himself had started the fire to clear land for his grand palace, the Domus Aurea. While Nero was quick to shift the blame onto the Christians, his reputation never fully recovered. His persecution of Christians was another dark chapter of his rule. He was the first Roman emperor to systematically persecute this religious group, using them as scapegoats for the fire and subjecting them to horrific tortures. This brutal act further alienated Nero from his people and the Senate. As Nero's reign progressed, so did the dissatisfaction among the Roman populace and the military. His extravagant spending, his obsession with arts and sports, and his neglect of state affairs had caused significant economic strain. The military, once loyal to Nero, began to lose faith as he showed more interest in chariot racing than in governing the empire. In the end, Nero's rule was a reign of extravagance and tyranny. His lavish lifestyle, his disregard for the Senate, his brutal persecution of Christians, and his inability to manage the empire's finances and military resulted in growing discontent. His reign, once marked by youthful promise, had become a symbol of unchecked power and corruption. Nero's rule, marked by extravagance and tyranny, was beginning to crack under the weight of discontent. When the people and the powerful turn against an emperor, how long can he hold on to his throne? This question found its answer in the fall of Nero Claudius Caesar, Augustus Germanicus, the Roman emperor who reigned from 54 to 68 CE. The beginning of Nero's downfall can be traced back to his increasing unpopularity among his subjects and the Senate. His extravagant lifestyle, his obsession with arts and entertainment over governance, and his perceived neglect of the Roman provinces all contributed to the growing resentment against him. Among those who turned against Nero was Gaius Julius Vindex, the governor of Gaul. In the year 68 CE, Vindex rose in rebellion, openly criticizing Nero's rule and calling upon other governors to join him. His revolt, however, was short-lived. Vindex was defeated by the Rhine armies, loyal to Nero, and committed suicide. But his revolt had already set a chain of events in motion. In the wake of Vindex's revolt, Servius Sulpicius Galba, the governor of Hispania, was declared the new emperor by his soldiers. Galba was an experienced politician and military man, and his claim to the throne was quickly recognized by the Senate. The Senate declared Nero a public enemy, leaving the emperor with no support and no place to hide. Faced with the inevitable, Nero chose to end his life. With the help of his private secretary, he committed suicide on the 9th of June 68 CE. His last words, as per historical accounts, were "Qualis artifex pereo," "What an artist dies in me." Nero's end was as dramatic as his life. He died alone, abandoned by his people, his Senate, and even his personal guards. It was a tragic end for a man who had once been the ruler of one of the mightiest empires in the world. Nero, once the ruler of Rome, met a tragic end, alone and abandoned by his people. How does history remember Nero, the young emperor whose reign was marked by controversy and conflict? This question brings us to the final part of our journey, the legacy that Nero has left behind. In the years immediately after his death, a peculiar myth emerged, the Nero Redivivus legend. It was the belief that Nero had not died but had fled to the east and would return one day to reclaim his throne. This myth was so potent that it persisted for centuries and even inspired several impostors to claim Nero's identity. Nero's image in literature and popular culture has been equally enduring. He has often been portrayed as a tyrant, a hedonist, a madman, and even an antichrist. From the works of ancient historians like Tacitus and Suetonius, to Robert Graves' I, Claudius, to the Hollywood epic Quo Vadis, Nero's character has been interpreted and reinterpreted through the lens of each era's values and fears. Yet, it's important to remember that these are just perceptions, not definitive truths. The ongoing debate among historians about Nero's reign attests to this. Some see him as a despotic ruler whose extravagance and cruelty led to his downfall. Others suggest that he was a misunderstood figure, a product of his time and circumstances, who tried to bring about reforms but was thwarted by the traditionalist Roman elite. So what is the final verdict on Nero's legacy? Well, the truth is that there isn't one. Like the man himself, Nero's legacy is complex, controversial, and full of contradictions. It's a reflection not just of the man himself, but of the world he lived in and the people who have studied him since. Nero's reign was a tumultuous period in Roman history, and his legacy continues to be a subject of fascination and debate. Whether as a villain or a tragic hero, Nero remains a compelling figure, a symbol of the power, corruption, and decadence of the Roman Empire. His story continues to captivate us, reminding us of the timeless themes of power, ambition, and the human condition.